presentation. I've asked Aaron to put together a couple of slides. He's going to go through some basic information, and then at the end of this, we have purposefully left it vague in terms of providing any kind of specific guidance with the board in lieu of having a discussion again and hearing your thoughts about what direction or what your thoughts are, where we need to go to start closing the budget gap. So with that, I'll turn it over to Aaron.
Okay, so I'll start. As the board already knows, without a tax increase, our preliminary budget is short $2.64 million. We do have a number of issues that will impact our budget coming up. 7 of 8 meet and discuss agreements or contracts expire at the end of this current fiscal year. We also have a budget. We don't have a state budget, which could impact our current budget as well as our future budget. One example is the Ready to Learn is being discussed and eliminating. That does impact our budget. You have your construction reimbursement, the funding formula, which funding formula will be used, and as well as the PSERs with the contribution rates moving forward. There's a number of different alternatives that could happen at the state level that will have a major fiscal impact on us.
Aaron, can you hold on real quick with the state budget impasse? When are we saying that it's going to get real dicey for us if we don't have a budget?
Yeah, we will be running out of cash by around the end of April.
Well, we did get a partial payment, correct?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did get some.
So roughly April, May, we will have to look at somewhere to extend payroll.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get closer. We have a plan in place for that.
Hey, quick question, am I reading into this 7 of 8 meet and discuss? And it used to be called meet and greet, so we're not so much greeting anymore, but just discussing?
Sure.
Okay. The greeting is a little bit too touchy-feely. The discussion is brass tacks. Thank you.
That's Aaron's slide, by the way.
Okay, well, I like that wording.
Hey, can I ask Aaron a question? It was asked of me, and I got my email kicked back from him. The question was asked, when you talked about comparative, schools, when you're looking at, doing comparisons, were those comparisons based on surrounding schools in the county, or the software that we got that was going to be able to put us in like districts with, similar student size and economic base and everything?
I use the software to find like districts comparable to us on an economic status, but I also use the software to benchmark us against all other IU schools, or the IU 5 schools. So our local area, as well as other districts who have the same unemployment rate or demographic as Mill Creek Township.
Okay, thank you.
So continuing, we did file for our Act 1 exceptions. If we are approved, it was about $850,000 that we would be approved for to be able to go above and beyond the index. That would be roughly about $800,000 after you take in the 96% collection rate, plus a discount if anybody chose to take it of about 1.8%. And then our tax increase to the index would net us about $1.6 million. What does that mean? Well, we know that we have a deficit of $2.64 million. If we go to our index, we have $1.6 million. If we get our exception, if we are granted exceptions from PDE, that'd be additional $800,000. We don't know that yet. We're still waiting for a response from PDE, which I believe we'll have at, I think it's March 1st. We'll have a response roughly. But even if we raise taxes above the index as high as we possibly can, our budget is still short $240,000. What does raising taxes mean to the local taxpayers per $100,000 home? The index would be roughly about just under $40 annually in additional tax. And then if we filed for exception, or if we did take advantage of the exceptions, if approved, would be additional just under $2 annually as well,
So that looks like that's 0.6 mils?
roughly, yeah.
Because I thought initially we were looking at doing an increase of 3.1% and our index was 2.9%.
Right, so this is saying, taking the full exception of everything that we would be allowed to take. The preliminary budget had a slight exception over the index,
Wow.
which you also showed the preliminary budget was still short, roughly $700,000 from balancing.
That's disheartening to me because we were out telling the people we're gonna go to 3.1, a slight increase over 2.9. And I had heard that the number was approximately $90,000, and now we're showing $800,000. I am floored by that amount, that we would want to go an additional 0.2 mils. That's just out of control.
I'm showing options.
That's
You
another
have
option.
you have anywhere in between.
That's
You choose that
50% of what
tax
we're
rate.
allowed. We're going 50% above what, $21 is 50+% of $39. So I'm just going to say it here and now, that's obscene.
Well, again, we're just providing all of the options,
Well,
including the full tax increase with being approved for exceptions. We're
well,
showing
I hope that's reported. We've got a newspaper reporter here because that's big money.
Mr. O'Toole, your presentation was not included on the agenda, so the board is seeing it for the first time, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Wouldn't it be prudent if you attached your presentation to the agenda so that we could see it and review it when we get the agenda at Friday at 4:30 for a meeting either Monday or Tuesday, so that we could review it, and then if we had any questions on it, we would be asking you, because right now you're giving us information and I don't have anything here that I can compare it to. So what I'm going to ask, and hopefully the board would agree with me, if you're going to prepare something for the board's attention, to please attach it to the agenda.
Okay, I can give a partial response to that too. With our timeline, remember we talked about this in retreat, you were asking if we could move that timeline ahead to make the agendas live so that you could have the information in advance. Many times, because of how busy this place is, we get to a Thursday or a Friday, or in this case, today, when I finally had a chance to sit down with this guy and look at this, to be able to make some changes to it so that we are on the same page before it comes to you. Sometimes that doesn't happen in time for it to go on the agenda and be live. So I agree with you, in a perfect world, this should be coming out with the agenda so you can look at it. But I can tell you, as a rule, and you can ask these folks here, things change here on a dime. You know what happened today, and it's stop, drop, and roll, and we don't get to this. So there are going to be occasions, even when the best scenarios are out there, that we're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I understand, Mr. Hall, and that's what Mr. O'Toole can inform us. If we have received this information last Wednesday, and we reviewed it, we massaged it, and then there were changes between last Wednesday and today, Mr. O'Toole would then inform us. That's all. And I understand. Thank you.
It's not a big deal. But you mentioned 96% collection rate?
Correct.
Did I see 95% before? Not that that's a big deal, but I remember
Yeah.
Last year was like
Yes.
94%.
We are collecting better
We're
than
collecting
what we
better?
were.
People are paying their taxes?
Correct.
Well, that's nice.
Right.